keeps it before us for action tonight. Ms. Call the roll.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Kinner?
No.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Moore? Counselor Oropesa? Counselor Best?
No.
Counselor Stubbs?
Yes.
Counselor Roebuck?
Yes, with explanation.
Counselor Foster?
No with explanation.
Counselor Sanchez?
No.
Okay. Motion passes. 6-4.
Counselor Roebuck and Counselor Foster asked to explain. Counselor Roebuck, you have the floor first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate your comments. I would like to say that it is very possible that the way I viewed the information tonight might change, and I think it might change for other counselors as well. So I don't think that I don't think that, at least for myself, I can say that I know how I would have voted on tonight, but I can't say that won't change based on conversations I have with the people who've spoken to me today. So, but I do appreciate the sentiment that we shouldn't postpone something for no good reason. I yield.
Counselor Foster, you have the floor.
I voted no because I believe we should be a yes or no on this. I think that this has gone on and it's drug on for our staff. It's spent a lot of time on this, and I do think that it has become a political ball, and I think the next month we're going to come up and there's going to be another question about something else that hadn't been covered, and even though we've covered everything, it's going to be brought to us like we hadn't seen it before, and because I think this has become a political issue for some reason, and so I think it should be a yes or no. Thank you.
All right, thank you, counselors. Ladies and gentlemen, the agenda items under the consent, those are items 11 through 23, with the exception of item 16, were all adopted when the agenda was adopted. We would now go to item number 24. However, I am going to propose a brief recess. I have 8:15 right now. Council, I suggest we take a 5-minute break. We will reconvene at 8:20. We are in recess. No, that was 28.
Yeah.
What we breathing out there already, you know, okay? What kind of stuff is buried up underneath there already?
Right. Right. We're just taking everything and moving it to November. You got through it.
No, because, no, I mean, I'm just saying that he could give me, I feel like they would be the only people that can give me something to make me feel comfortable enough to thinking not what I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying?
Wake up in the meeting. Come on, let's go. Back to your seat. Counselors, come on back. Let's go. Staff wants to get to bed before midnight. Let's go.
And that's okay, I'm sure a lot of people out there.
Yeah, you're gonna probably hear it, I'm just saying.
Do you need some water? You get some water? Water?
Okay, where is everybody? Let's go. Where's Counselor Roebuck? We're gonna, those will be. No. I've got 8:22. We're going to be back in session. Counselor Roebuck has stepped away from his seat. I texted Counselor Perry. Are you there, Counselor Perry?
Yes, sir, I am here.
Okay, let the record reflect Counselor Perry is with us. We're on to item number 24. Counselor Foster. That's okay.
Mayor and council, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2055, the Museum and Art Center admission rates.
Okay, you want to hit your motion button for me?
Oh, yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Foster and a second by Counselor Kennard to approve Resolution 20-55. Ms. Brooks?
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. So again, I present to you Resolution 2055, which is admission rates for the Roswell Museum and Art Center. The reason that we're proposing rates is that we want to work towards,
Can you get a little closer to the mic? Some
sorry.
of us are old.
we want to work towards contributing to our cost recovery goals, and admission rates are going to be a really valid way for us to achieve those goals. The rates that we have outlined are adults 16 and up, Roswell residents would be $7, non-Roswell residents would be $10, students age 16 plus, and this would be high school and college level, and seniors 60 plus, active military and veterans would be $7. A combined adult rate for museum and planetarium would be $12. That would normally be $15, so it's a discount of $3. And groups of 10 or more would be $8 per person with a reservation. We also have several categories of free admission: children 15 and under, museum members, those that are part of the NARM group, which I've explained before is a reciprocal museum association in which our members who are at the $100 membership level would get free admission to 1,000 different museums in North America. And so in return, we honor those other NARM members that are part of the other museum membership programs. In addition, there would be school groups, including the chaperones, would be free with reservations. And the second Saturday of the month would be free for Roswell residents, and seniors age 60 plus every Wednesday.
All right.
And I added a caveat, which we talked about last time as well, which was because there's going to be situations in which fees might not align with a particular program goal or for marketing. There would be situations in which I would want to waive those fees or provide a discount. Example might be if we have rack cards at hotels, or we have tourists who go to the UFO museum and they have their green sticker or receipt that they come to our museum and they get, let's say, a $2 discount. There could be a program goal, for instance, our Family After Hours. We partner with the school district and we provide art making activities throughout the galleries, a couple of evenings per year. And in that situation, we want to encourage parents to interact and work with their kids in art making projects, and so we wouldn't want to charge the parents for coming with their children to those events. Another situation could be where there's a financial hardship, so different service organizations like the Assurance Home or Tobosa, we want to support them in their mission and what they do and provide that outlet for their clients to participate and be a part of art, and we wouldn't necessarily want to charge them, so we probably would waive those fees. But just kind of those are examples of what we'd be looking at in some situations. And I just want to point out that we did take a look at rates of museums around here, which was between $0 and $5, but also around the state. And we were looking for kind of comparables in terms of scope of offerings. So the Albuquerque Museum is $6 for their adult rate, but they typically charge an extra $5 for their special exhibition, and most recently they had the Jim Henson exhibition up. The Harwood Museum in Taos charges $10 per person, which I think is a very similar institution to our own in terms of holdings. The Museum of Art in Santa Fe charges $12. The Museum of Natural History is $8, and the O'Keeffe Museum is $13. So it's kind of a variety, but again, we're looking for sort of similar scope into what we offer here. And just to review, the General Services Committee recommended approval of this resolution 2-1 at their meeting on August 26th. It was also presented last month on September 10th here before the council, and it did get a 5-3 vote of approval. However, it needed 6 affirmative votes, so it did not actually pass. And then 6 councilors requested in writing to have the resolution placed on tonight's meeting, so that's why I'm returning today.
All right. Councilors, I have no one who signed up to speak on this in the audience, so I'll turn to the council. I have Councilor Roebuck.
I just briefly wanted to say thank you for your work on this. I'm really excited about you guys tackling this, and I think it's gonna help out. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Brevity is the soul of wit. I have no one else on my list. I have Councilor Moore now.
Yes, and so we participate in that along with those other 1,000 museums, and so we pay like a membership fee, and they require that the members who get that benefit are paying at a $100 level or higher. In our case, we have a $100 level membership called our enthusiast level, so it's those members who would receive that benefit. And there's several museums throughout our state that participate, like the Albuquerque Museum and several of the state museums.
Counselor Moore, do you have your microphone on, please, ma'am? Thank you.
Of course I do. And you also said that the idea of having a fee when we have an special exhibit, was that was in ours too? I saw it on the color thing, but in your write-up too, was in there?
And so in my write-up, I think it's difficult based on how our museum is laid
set up.
out to charge an additional fee. You can always think about it. When we had the Heard Wyeth exhibition in 2018, we had considered it, but again, it's like the way the museum was laid out, it was hard to say, go to this exhibit, but not to this one over here. So we chose not to add an additional fee at that time, or to charge a fee. But yeah, in the Albuquerque Museum, the way that their layout is done, it kind of helps with that.
I have been, my mind was made up, you know, I'm all not for charging, I'm still not for charging, but I understand, I think, finally in talking to you and understanding the way this layout, that my tune for this is changing some. And so I want to thank you for all your work, thank you for listening, thank you, some people say, would say we're allowed to talk, but they don't listen. And so I just wanted to say thank you for listening and going through this and rewriting at this and relooking at this because we sent it back 2 or 3 times. So I just want to say thank you for your work, and I appreciate the idea of the combinations and the cars at the motels and all those things. I think those things will be a valuable asset as we look forward into going to charging. It's hard for me to say, charging for the museum, but I think I'm kind of on the page that this may be something. It's not like it's in stone and forever. So we might get us back to a position where the city feels like we can waive the fee sometime or some kind of more often than those little few ones. So I really just wanted to say thank you, and I just want you to know I appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
All right, now I've got Councilor Oropesa and Foster, but before we go back to go to them, let me ask you to go back to the first slide. It actually has the fees, so we can have that in front of us in case councilors, that right there. Yeah, that one gives everybody a nice overview. So I now have, we're still working the technology here. Councilor Oropesa, Councilor Foster, you went off. Okay, then Councilor Perry. So Councilor Oropesa, you have the floor, and then we'll have Councilor Perry. So Councilor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make sure that I understand the information before us. The one that was up there on the screen said 6 councilors requested in writing for this item to be placed on the agenda for this meeting. But the board and committee action explains that the general services actually it failed the motion with a 2-2 tie. And then you, Mr. Mayor, requested to the finance chair that this item be placed on the finance committee agenda.
No, well, sorry, Councilor.
Am I on the wrong one? Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
Then I'll wait for the next one. Sorry. Thank you
Okay.
for the correction.
No, we're not going to do that, councilors. We're not going to do that. I apologize, Councilor Oropesa. We will not interrupt each other. Period. If we have to take another time out, bathroom break, we will. All right, I have Councilor Perry to speak. Councilor Perry, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Just a special thank you to museum staff. I know in these difficult times, when we've made difficult decisions and cutting back in areas, I know that when I met with y'all, did the tour, y'all were very gracious and showed us what we have to offer here in Roswell. I know that I made a promise that if finances had to be cut back, which we deemed was necessary, that I would do my part in trying to ensure that you indeed had the ability to try to make up in some degree of that. My wife and I are frequents to museums not only across this nation, but across the world when we travel. We enjoy museums, and we have learned through the years that when there's a cost relation to a museum, we have an expectation, and we're much more likely to stop and to enjoy what that particular museum has to offer, whether it's a natural science or arts or whatever it may be. I believe that what we have here in Roswell is first class. I would put what we have here in Roswell against anything else I've seen in the state of New Mexico, and I'm proud of what we have. I'm sorry to the museum staff that this is a month late in the ability of collections in these areas, which of course we've not been open yet, but hoping to be able to fix that this evening. I am one of the counselors that made the request to have this put on here tonight, because I think as a council we really need to consider. We've had to make some hard decisions when it came to finances this year. We need to allow the good folks over there at that museum to do their job well, and to be able to recoup and have the ability to keep that the jewel of Roswell that it truly is. And I just want to encourage my fellow counselors to vote in favor. I'm grateful for staff, museum staff, and those within the board and everything that worked on these prices, and they've seen the need to put some days in there to allow for free openings, so that everyone who is part of our community has that ability to come in and to enjoy what we all know is a great asset to our community. So I just want to leave that with everyone this evening.
All right, thank you, Councilor Peterson. Councilor Perry. We have Councilor Peterson and then Councilor Oropesa. Councilor Peterson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion to strike on Exhibit A under Roswell residents, the seniors 60 plus, active duty, active, military, and veterans, the $7.
Okay, let's, hang on, we're going to do a motion here to amend. Let me bring this up and make sure we know what we're looking at. So, come on, it's being slow here.
167.
So I don't have it in front of me just yet. Hang on, I'm getting it. Okay. Where on Exhibit A you want to, what do you want to?
Under Roswell residents, it says students age 16 plus, comma.
Right.
Okay, I want to strike seniors 60 plus, active, military, and veterans, the $7.
Okay. So that would mean those individuals would pay $10.
No, they would pay $0.
Okay, then can you, then to make sure we have a clarity here, you want seniors 60 plus, active military and veterans to be $0?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Patterson, do you think you understand what the counselor is suggesting?
Okay, we'd have to add, then really it would be another bullet point that makes them $0, because yeah, you're right, if you just struck those, they would just be adults and pay 10.
It'd just be moved down into
Right.
this section.
Free, yeah, another bullet point under free, that's right, would be seniors and active military, would just become a new bullet point under free.
Yeah, would you feel comfortable with that, Counselor, moving them down to the free section?
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion by Counselor Peterson. Do I have a second? Okay, let's see if we got a second for this first. Okay, I got a second by Counselor Peterson, to move down,
Mr.
I'm
Mayor, the
sorry,
second was
Counselor
by who?
Orpesa.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion is by Counselor Peterson, the second is by Counselor Orpesa, to move from the second bullet point, seniors 60-plus, active military and veterans, and move them down to free. Now, Counselor Kennedy just pointed out that we already have senior 60-plus free every Wednesday. So,
We should strike that, or else it would be redundant.
okay, so we would strike that one as well. So, Mr. Patterson, Ms. Call, do you feel comfortable? We know what we're striving to do with this amendment. So let me try and repeat this, and Counselor Peterson, if I get this wrong, stop me. So it would be, looking here at the Exhibit A, that's easiest because it's right in front of us. Active military, veterans, seniors 60-plus would come off and come down to the free section. We delete the seniors 60-plus every Wednesday and insert all seniors. We insert seniors 60-plus every day, essentially, and active military and veterans. Did I get that right, Counselor?
Yes.
Okay. So on the proposed amendment, discussion on the proposed amendment. Who wishes to speak on the amendment? Anybody?
Mr. Mayor,
Counselor Perry.
I apologize that I did not go through the Madam Clerk for my request to speak. May I just ask of staff, museum staff, what would they say the percentage of those that go through the museum would be the 60-plus?
That's kind of difficult to say because we haven't been charging admissions. We don't have the same amount of data as we normally would. So we just capture where they're from and the number in their party and not their age. But I will say in general, a majority of people who visit museums in the US are typically 60 and up. Not all, but a majority, and that's just a standard kind of percentage. So it's probably like maybe 45% or so, and then we have all the school tours that come in and such. So just guessing on a figure would be really hard, but it's somewhere in the ballpark. Well, okay, we have between 13 and 14,000 people who come just to see the museum, not for any of the other attractions that we have. And so of them, I would say maybe about 6,000 are seniors. It's just a guess, but just kind of a ballpark.
Thank you very much. I assumed that those numbers would be somewhat high. I think I am somewhat I'm somewhat able to recognize what Councilor Peterson's desire is. At the same time, I don't want to take away the ability to do what we're trying to do here, which is to give the museum the ability to recoup finances. I would be more amenable, I think, if we were to offer, as we already have the 60-plus free on Wednesdays, if we were to add the others that were being requested for free to that Wednesday. But I cannot speak on behalf of Councilor Peterson nor Pace as to what their full desire is with the motion in the second. That would be an amendment that would be more something that I think would be able to accomplish what the museum is trying to do, but at the same time recognize these individuals in our society that we definitely want to recognize as well. I yield.
On the amendment, I have Counselor Best. Is it on the amendment? Okay. On the amendment, nothing else from anyone. We will have a Counselor Stubbs on the amendment.
Thank you. Maybe I need to ask too, the, next to the last bullet under free also says second Saturday of the month for Roswell residents. So maybe that needs to go as well if this were to pass. And I just am personally thinking, Counselor Perry said it, and that is, the point of all of this is for the museum to recoup some of their expenses. So I'm just wondering if maybe instead of moving that bullet of Roswell resident students, age 16 plus, seniors 60 plus, active military and veterans, if we left them with a fee, but I'm kind of compromising here, moved them to being free, let's say on Saturday and Sunday. I'm offering that as a suggestion to Counselor Peters.
All right, on the proposed amendment, any further discussion on the proposed amendment? Okay, I almost won an oil lease at an auction doing that, Counselor. Seeing no one else wishing to speak on this matter, I'll ask for a roll call vote on the amendment. The amendment does this. It moves down to the free section, 60 plus and active and military and veterans, which previously had been listed as a $7 charge. And it eliminates the 60 plus free every Wednesday. Did I get that right, Mr. Patterson? A yes or aye adopts this amendment. A no or nay rejects it. Ms. Call, please call the roll.
You're Vikings.
Can we get that microphone killed? All right, let's keep it that way. Thank you.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Kinnard?
No.
Counselor Perry?
No.
Counselor Moore? Counselor Oropesa?
Yes.
Counselor Best?
No.
Counselor Stubbs?
No.
Counselor Robeck?
No.
Counselor Foster?
No.
Counselor Sanchez?
Counselor Stubbs, you have to activate your box. And Counselor Moore, I need you to activate your vote box too.
Counselor Sanchez, I need a verbal from you, please.
Counselor Moore, is your,
And you, Counselor, did you push your button?
it's not,
Counselor Moore?
yeah. There we go. Pushing the wrong one. All right. And the vote is?
Motion fails.
8-2, the amendment fails. We're back on the original resolution as presented. Any further discussion or debate on the resolution as presented? Counselor Stubbs, I have you on my list. Is that on the, okay. We'll take it off. Counselor Oropesa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, my opinion is that this is a city-owned facility, and the city should take care of it. And I don't believe that the fees that we're proposing, even though they are comparable to other museums, but I don't believe in fees, and so I'm not going to support the fees for that reason. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Counselor. I have no one else on my list to speak on this matter. I'm going to ask for Counselor Perry.
Just briefly, I just want to point out the golf course is owned by the city of Roswell. I sure don't want us to see us cutting fees there, as well as the other areas such as that. I yield.
All right, thank you, Counselor. I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. A yes or aye approves Resolution 20-55 as presented. a no or nay rejects it. Once again, a yes or aye approves Resolution 20-55, a no or nay rejects it. Ms. Call, please call the roll.
Counselor Peterson?
No.
Counselor Kennard?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Moore? No. Counselor Oropesa?
No.
Counselor Best?
Yes.
Counselor Stubbs?
Yes.
Counselor Robeck?
Yes.
Counselor Foster?
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez? Motion passes 6-4.
All right, moving on to item number 25. Counselor Oropesa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move for approval of Resolution 2059 Roswell Recreation Department fee schedule based on the finance recommendation of 3-1, even though the abstract says 4-0. Thank you.
All right, I have a motion. Counselor, if you'll activate your motion box. Thank you, sir. I have, one more time. There we go. I have a motion by Counselor Oropesa and a second by Counselor Foster to approve Resolution 20-59. Mr. Gallegos.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I present to you tonight an updated fee resolution for the Recreation Department. The resolution was presented to General Services on September 23rd and was tied 2-2. It was then presented to Finance Committee on October 1st, where it passed 4-0 and is now up for your approval.
3-1.
Oh, 3-1? I thought.
Yeah.
I apologize. After being open for about 6 months, I began working on a fee update as our fees were not complete and needed to account for everything we did, not just for the aquatic side, but also for the recreation center and the adult center. COVID hit us in March, and we were required to take a closer look at our rates considering our new cost recovery guidelines. With that in mind, I came up with some goals to consider when revisiting and revising these rates. I want to combine, update, and streamline the existing fee resolutions from 1836 and 1939 that we're working off of to be inclusive of the current recreational aquatic activities. I wanted to provide several options and opportunities for guests to become members and enjoy the facilities at reasonable rates and expand membership benefits. I want to offer a lower daily entry cost for the Roswell Recreation Center to provide equal access and equal and fair access for everyone. And I want to provide official rate structure for the Roswell Adult Center. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. Offer reasonable, fair facility rental rates for the Roswell Recreation and Aquatic Center and the Roswell Adult Center. All this is to increase usage and revenue to work towards our Recreation Department goal of 50% cost recovery. Our first couple of slides comprise rates that were approved from resolutions 1939, passed of May of 2019, and 1836, passed in July of 2018. For the most part, the rates approved in 2019 will stay intact in this current resolution, but we'll expand more of the options for consumers to choose from. A few of the items that I will be removing are some of the adult sports programs that we no longer, we haven't done for many years and don't plan on doing so. At the adult center, I want to remove the 3 different rate groups that are currently on there. They weren't defined properly, they were confusing, and they weren't, and staff was not properly charging the appropriate rates during the time. So to begin with the new rate structure, we have 3 different rate tiers for daily, monthly, which is a new one, quarterly, a change from our seasonal rates, and annual rates. The new monthly rates come from numerous requests from residents that cannot afford to pay either the seasonal or annual rates. The quarterly rates are a change from the seasonal rates because if members didn't purchase it at the beginning of the season, it'd be unfeasible and wise to continue to buy it in the middle of the season because they lose out on so much time. The new quarterly rates give the members the full 3 months from the date of purchase. As I mentioned before, I have 3 different rate tiers now. First one is aquatics. It's meant solely for the pools. We have found that most of our guests either want to utilize only the pools or the recreation center and only want to pay for that rate. So now we have set rates for the aquatics on a daily, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. This slide highlights the recreational rates. You will notice a lower daily entry rate meant for people who just want to use the open gym hours to play basketball, volleyball, and not have to pay the high $5 fee just to do so. This allows for better access for those that cannot afford the higher fees to enjoy the facility. And yes, we still offer the combined recreational aquatic rates for people that want to use the entire facility during their stay. Here, I highlight the rates for each of the tiers for the annual memberships. First one is the aquatic annual rates. This actually brings it down especially for our seniors who just want to do lap swimming in the morning. This really brings their price down on an annual basis. Our recreational rates, this is a nice added bonus for those kids that just want to pay to come play basketball, work on their shots, and play volleyball on the open gym. And of course, our combined recreation and aquatic rates as well. Next, you'll find our rates for our new and improved fitness and weight room. We now offer a $5 drop-in daily rate to use the virtual exercise classes or the weight equipment. A new $4 punch card if they want to buy 10 or more, and a monthly, quarterly, and annual members will have it included in their recreational and combined memberships. Our water fitness rates are very similar to our fitness center rates. You have the same $5 drop-in fee, $4 punch card, or included with your membership. We still have the same rates that were already approved for swim lessons, lifeguard certification, and CPR certification. Annual members will also get a reduced price for some of these services, and in the case of CPR certification, they'll get it for free. Next, I would like to offer 3 free entry days during the summer to anyone with a Roswell address on their license or Roswell student ID. Our current rates do not allow for this, and I feel it's important to allow people that may not be able to afford the regular rates a viable option to try out the facility and enjoy their time there. These are the room rental rates for the Rec and Aquatic Center. I've added rates for the group exercise room and the conference room and adjusted the rates for each court according to size and seating capacity. Some of them are a little bit bigger and they can hold a little bit more people. I've also decreased the pool lane rental rates because we didn't rent one during this whole time because it was just way too high. So I want to bring that down to a more feasible rate and bring it in line with a lot of other aquatic centers. As mentioned before, I want to remove the 3 room rates at the adult center to be streamlined. The new rates are still far below other facilities in Roswell and offer an affordable rate for everyone. Also, entry into the adult center is officially free. Free to use the hospitality room to play dominoes, drink coffee with friends, and have a good time. We'll still charge for rentals and classes, but will not require a separate entry fee just for entering the building. Billiard players will still pay $1 a day or can buy a $10 monthly pass to play unlimited pool. Now, I am asking for the ability to negotiate with renters at the adult center willing to pay their rent in full on an annual basis. We have a few groups out there that have been there for many, many years, and if we charge them the rates that are on the paper now, it would push them out. These rates will be negotiated on an annual basis and determined on the amount of time they use, which room they use, and their contributions towards the community. This is only meant for nonprofit organizations. Anyone that is for-profit would not be eligible for this rate. And then finally, our sports programs. Youth sports didn't require any increases as their rates are able to cover their cost recovery. However, the adult sports, they needed just a little bit of an increase to cover theirs. Spectator admission is still $1, but season passes are now $7. So to conclude, these rates are intended as a means of creating greater access for people to utilize the beautiful facilities we have and expand our offerings to the citizens of Roswell. Thank you. And I stand for any questions.
All right. Councilors, I did not have anyone sign up to speak on this, so I turn to the council. Questions, comments from the council? I have Councilor Roebuck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to say and I know I said this in finance, but I say it here, is I'm really pleased with the work you've done on this. I think you've put a lot of thought into it, and I like the double goal of trying to recover funds, but also keeping in mind that this is there for the city. We need to make sure people have the ability to access it. So I'm looking forward to a year from now to see the actual like revenues attached to these different fees and playing with those numbers. But I think this is a great start, and this is really good work. Thank you. I yield.
All right, I have Councilor Oropesa. Councilor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, again, I don't support the fees. Because in my opinion, people pay taxes, a lot of taxes, that should be going to their quality of life. And for that reason, I'm not going to support this resolution. But the one that really worries me is the board and committee action and the issue of a 2-to-2 tie. And even though it was a 2-to-2 tie at the General Services Committee, it was understood that this item was going to come up to City Council anyway. But we heard this one at Finance Committee, and I was led to believe that the chair was the one that requested it. However, it turns out that you were the one that requested the chair to put it on the agenda. So when I questioned it at Finance Committee, I was led to believe that the chair was the one that had requested it. And if that isn't the case, then I guess he wasn't being very truthful. The other concern that I have, not just with this item, but the attitude of the chair, or chairs for that matter. Because it is quite clear in our city rules that any counselor can ask to have an item that is placed on the consent agenda to be pulled for no reason whatsoever. They don't have to give a reason. And so when I requested one of the items to be put on, or when a motion was made for an item to be put on consent agenda, and I requested for that item to be taken off consent and put on the general agenda, the response that I got was, I will allow that. To me, that means that the chair believes that he has the authority to be able to determine whether an item goes on general or consent. And if you read the rules of order, it clearly states that any counselor can request an item be taken off of consent and put on general. And of course, I'm asking for legal committee to take, especially the 2-to-2 vote. And I've met with Councilor Stubbs and with Parker and Sharon and Mike. We had a meeting concerning that, and I'm hoping that issue will be taken up by legal as soon as possible, so we can clear up some of the misunderstandings that we have on our committees. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, on the proposed resolution, I have Councilor Perry. Councilor, on the proposed resolution, which is the matter before us, you have the floor.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I hope that you will grant me the same amount of respect that you just granted Councilor Oropesa when he just openly called me a liar and was not stopped in this meeting. Will I be afforded the ability to speak on this?
It's getting late, Councilor. Can you make it brief?
Mr. Mayor, you granted him the
Yes.
ability. In the past, you have always stopped counselors for making derogatory comments of other counselors. I've just been called a liar. I would like to be afforded the ability to speak openly to Counselor Oropesa.
Briefly.
Thank you. Counselor Oropesa, I'm really sadly disappointed at hearing the shameful things you've just said. After our meeting, I expressed some concerns to another counselor who happened to be there of how I truly desired to have the time to sit down with you and to find out why it is that you and I can't seem to work together to make things better. I have absolutely nothing against you, Counselor Oropesa, not at all. We don't see eye to eye on philosophy. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of politics, if you would say, or positions. But that doesn't matter. I believe that you have a desire to do what's best for Roswell, and I am sorry that you don't feel the same way for me. I wanted the opportunity to speak to you after that meeting, but I thought everything was done, but evidently it wasn't. You've been holding on to a golden ticket to use as a stump speech here in front of this council and in front of our community. There is one thing that I hold higher than anything else I have on the face of this earth, and that is my testimony. That is my integrity. Now, Counselor Oropesa, I told you that day that I had put it on the agenda. The reason I said that is because that is exactly what happened. I placed it on the agenda. I was asked by our staff if it would be okay to be considered. I looked at it, and as chair of that committee, I said, yes, let's add it to the agenda. At a later time, the mayor did come to me and say, I have requested this be put on the agenda. I said, not a problem. I've already discussed with staff. It's on the agenda. We're moving forward. It'd be very nice if before you make accusations, as you have, that facts were at least allowed to be considered. I will say also that you said that I allowed that it to go forward to be placed on regular agenda instead of consent agenda. And Councilor Oropesa, that's exactly how that happened. As the chair of this of the Finance Committee, I do have the ability to run a meeting. When the request was made, when the motion was made to put it forth, it was asked if it would be put on a consent agenda. It was agreed that it would. It was looked over to you. I can't remember exactly if you were asked or if you said, I'd like that to go on to regular agenda. And I said, I will allow that. I could have made a motion, or someone could have made a motion. No, it goes on the consent agenda. You don't have the right as a counselor necessarily, or I don't have the right as a counselor necessarily in a committee to dictate how someone makes a motion and seconds it. What you do have the ability, according to the rules of order, is if it is on the consent agenda, now as a counselor, you have the ability to request it be moved from the consent agenda and placed on regular agenda. What I did as the chair was requested the allowance to not even go on the consent agenda, to move it straight to full council as a regular agenda item. That is what happened. I'm sorely disappointed
All right.
that
Counselor?
there's not that ability, and I hope that in the future, you and I will be able to fix this and move forward to make what's best for Roswell.
All right,
yield.
Counselor, thank you. This is, we're done with this.
Mr. Mayor,
No,
please.
no,
I need to
no.
respond to it.
No, Counselor, we are done with this. You want to have the rules of procedures addressed, that I will ask that it be done by legal committee. You made comments about Counselor Perry, he asked to respond. We are finished. We are on Resolution 20-59. If there is a debate on this resolution, fine, but we are going to act on this. We are not going to go back and forth like a ping pong game. Statements have been made, we're finished.
You should be fair for all of us.
Counselor, we're done.
You should be fair to all of us.
Counselor,
Mr. Mayor.
we are done.
Mr. Mayor, you should be
You are
fair
being
to all of us.
disruptive, Counselor. Respect this body.
You ask everybody else to do the same.
I have asked everyone to be the same. We are moving forward. Counselor Roebuck, do you wish to speak on the amendment? I mean, on the resolution. All right. Counselor Pesa, do you wish to speak on the resolution? Counselor Moore, you're on the resolution. Thank you. You have the floor.
Counselor Moore, we can't hear you. Thank you.
When we discussed this, and I was kind of at ease about it, but I see you adjusted some things. I still kind of feel the adult center is a little separate entity, so I do see that you worked on that, tweaked that a little. So I still have kind of little concerns on the price for the adult center, especially because it's not in the realm of the aquatic center being brand new, nice, blah, blah. So I think, I just think those fees could be just a little different for the adult center. I understand the recoupment. Like I said, that's been a battle with me too about charging for everything. But I understand at this realm in the game that it has to happen, and I don't like it coming at the cost of the kids. And I saw that you didn't change that, so I appreciated that fact. And I didn't realize that we still had adult volleyball, so I was sure that you left it on there. But so I'm okay with this. But I do, like I said, if you would if we could look at a little more, if we can have a conversation, maybe. I don't know if you already did with some of this, the tenants not tenants, but that's what they call. At the adult center, you've already remember we talked about having a guideline and a baseline for your charging and stuff like that. And I like the idea that you put that you would be able to work at it, but I still would like open to say that if we're going to give you that kind of option to talk to them, that you start with a baseline. You don't just say randomly, okay, we'll see what we're going to charge them. But if there's some kind of, okay, these things have to happen for you to get a lower rate, those kind of things, and not just because I feel like, oh, I didn't like her today, she had green hair or something. So think about that way, and I still feel that way. I think there should be some kind of guidelines when it comes to the way you're going to charge the people that don't fit in that little bubble. So I'm okay, and I don't mind getting rid of the 3 because it wasn't very clear who gets free. So we decided that you get to get free. So I don't mind that. I think that was a pretty good idea. And for the rest of it, it seemed like it was a lot of work, and I know you didn't do this overnight. And like I said, if we could just we do have a lot of, I don't know, underprivileged children and stuff. So I think if we can work out still some waiver things when it comes to some of the sports things for the kids. And I like your age for seniors is a little lower, so I can go get me a senior thing now. So appreciate that. And so I just thank you for your work. Like I said, I was really opposed, and I was really, I argued about it quite a bit. And so I think you did a little more work, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I have Counselor Peterson, and I exhaust my list. Counselor, you have the floor on the resolution 20-59 Recreation Department fees.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not in favor of a lot of these fees, especially the $450 for the family fee for the aquatic center. About 60-70% of the people that live in Roswell, they're not going to be able to afford that. And I'm also disappointed on the military members. I think they should be free. Active duty should be free. They're fighting for our country. Veterans, I think, should be free. Veterans fought for this country. Some veterans don't make very much money. I don't know how many veterans we have in here today, but I don't like us charging veterans. Thank you.
All right, I have Counselor Kennard, and that exhausts my list. Counselor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for clarification, I know that I asked you in committee, but can you tell me how many family memberships we have approximately?
Our current membership?
Yes.
Our current membership is about 1,100. That's including all our seasonal and annual members, including all their family members.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I have no one else on my list. I will now ask for a roll call vote. A yes or aye approves Resolution 20-59, Roswell Recreation Department fee schedule. A no or nay rejects it. Once again, a yes or aye approves Resolution 20-59. A no or nay rejects it. Ms. Call, please call the roll.
Counselor Peterson?
No.
Counselor Kennard?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Moore? Counselor Oropesa?
No.
Counselor Best?
Yes.
Counselor Stubbs?
Yes.
Counselor Robeck?
Yes.
Counselor Foster?
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez? Motion passes 8-2.
Next up is item number 26. Counselor Oropesa.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of Resolution 2062 to accept CARES Act awards for New Mexico small business continuity grants based on the finance recommendation on 3-0.
I have a motion by, Counselor, if you activate your motion button there on your vote box. Yeah, I have a motion by Counselor Oropesa and a second by Counselor Kennard to approve Resolution 20-62.
Point of order. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could consult with the city attorney for a moment. I need to consult if I should, as someone who's applied for these funds or business, should I recuse myself from this discussion and vote? Should I leave the chamber?
That would be prudent.
Yes, leave the
Yes.
chamber, recuse. Okay, so then, Mr. Mayor, I recuse myself from this discussion and vote, and I will leave the chamber until otherwise summoned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fair enough, thank you. Understand. All right, we'll let Counselor Roebuck, let the record reflect. Counselor Roebuck has stated he's applied for this, and he will be recusing himself from this discussion and the debate and the vote, and will actually leave the room. While we're waiting for him to slowly leave the room, thank you. Let's move this along. Mr. Fuentes.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor and councilors. So this is a resolution that will memorialize the grant that the city received for CARES Act for small businesses. So the state received about $50 million that has been distributed to a lot of the communities and throughout the state. The city received $1.3 million for small business loans. EDC is assisting the city with the application process. They assisted us with the initial outreach to all of the businesses. We received approximately about close to 80 plus applications. They have since then reached out again to receive additional information like all of their receipts and information that will be compiled and used to disperse the funds. So the proposed resolution, again, acknowledges the relationship with the partnership with EDC. It also provides the ability for the city manager to execute all of the necessary agreement with the small businesses. We passed a similar resolution when we received the state homeless funds and for the community kitchen. So the purpose of this is to expedite the process because we only have up until December 30th to be able to process a lot of these agreements and be able to disperse the funds. So with that, Mr. Mayor, the Finance Committee, as noted, was voted in favor 3-0 at their meeting on October the 1st. And I will stand for any questions, and Mike Espiritu is here with us today as well, if there's any questions for them as well. Thank you.
All right, councilors. Any questions, comments on, I have no one who signed up to speak on this. Any questions or comments on this matter? And we got, Councilor Roebuck left the room, so we don't have him. I'm sorry, it's been a long night. All right, since there is no one wishing to speak, I will ask for a roll call vote. We're just going to keep it simple and consistent. A yes or aye approves Resolution 20-62. A no or nay rejects it. Once again, a yes or aye approves the resolution. A no or nay rejects it. Ms. Call, please call the roll.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Kennard?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Counselor Oropesa?
Yes.
Counselor Best?
Yes.
Counselor Stubbs?
Yes.
Counselor Foster?
Yes, with explanation.
Counselor Sanchez? Motion passes 9-0.
All right. If you want to go ahead and invite Counselor Foster back, Counselor Roebuck. Counselor Foster.
I just wished I could leave. I didn't get to.
I know. Trust me. I'm starting to slip here. I get that.
right.
Counselor,
Well,
you have the floor.
My explanation is I don't like the way the state has set this up, but I know it's the rules that we have. I don't like the fact that it's a reimbursement that the city first has to front the money, and then then the state will come in and approve whether they did it right.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Foster, just for clarification, it is not a reimbursement to the city. It is a disbursement. The city will submit the application. They will provide us the funds.
Okay.
So in essence, we're just,
That has been-
the businesses will be the ones who are getting reimbursed for those expenses, but we will not be fronting the money.
We don't have to front the money? Well,
That's
cool. Under the explanation I first heard, I thought we were going to have to, and so,
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Friend.
All right. Thank you. Item number 27, Counselor Oropesa.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of Resolution 2065, the special event fees, and the Finance Committee voted 2-2 on this item. However, they also voted 4-0 to send it to full council with no recommendation.
All right. Thank you. I have a motion. Counselor Oropesa, if you'll activate the motion button. And a second by Counselor Roebuck to approve Resolution 20-65. Ms. Jennings, good evening.
Good evening. How are you guys? All right, so this is Resolution 2065, which is the special event fees. They're currently the fees that we have in place based on Resolution 1836. To give you a little bit of background, these were passed July 12th of 2018, and they are currently built into the Parks and Recreation Resolution. Since 2018 and early 2017, special events was moved from Parks and Recreation under the Public Affairs Division for collection of revenues. And so that's just a little bit of background. What we've done in public affairs is we've set up a special event team called SET. We work with all of the internal city departments that have hands on deck for coming up and preparing for the special events when organizers want to rent or utilize our equipment. This resolution is just a way to remove them from Parks and Rec and put them under their own resolution. Again, they're the current fees, the same fees. We've updated a couple of them. You'll see the two documents on the screen that we work from. So we'd just like to collectively combine those two documents into one resolution, 2065. Here are the revisions and updates that we'd like to make at this time to the current fees. The first one is city personnel. It's currently at $20, and we'd like to do an increase to $30 per hour, and that is due into part that over the last 3 years we've had COLA and step increases. The barricades are going from 5 to 10, we hope, and that's due to special requests and also the damages that we do get to our equipment when it is utilized. Warning signs, that is another service that has been requested. Sandbags and programmable signs are also services that have been requested. The two last items that we're asking for a revision to the current fees have already been passed on August 13th through the Sanitation Division. Again, pulling them out of that one and putting them all under the special event resolution so that they're all together. So in your packet under Exhibit A, the items in blue that I just went over are the revisions and updates. Every other special event fee would remain the same. And I will stand for any questions.
All right, councilors, I have no one signed up to speak on this one. Questions, comments from the council? Oh, Councilor Moore.
I just have a question with the say the sandbag. So if I, need the barricade thing and they put sandbags, so I pay the $10 for the sandbag, for the, whatever they put, those things that they put the sandbag to hold them. So I pay for that, and then I pay for each sandbag that they put to hold that sign down?
No, the barricade, the sandbag that would come with the barricade would be the fee for the
Part of that.
barricade.
Oh, okay. That was it.
Other questions or comments, councilors? If not, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote, staying consistent. A yes or aye approves Resolution 20-65 as presented. A no or nay rejects it. Once again, a yes or aye approves Resolution 20-65, special event fees. A no or nay rejects it. Ms. Call, please call the roll.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Kennard?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Moore? Yes. Counselor Oropesa?
No.
Counselor Best?
Yes.
Counselor Stubbs?
Yes.
Counselor Roebuck?
Yes.
Counselor Foster?
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez? Motion passes 9-1.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Perry?
I apologize. I was writing notes here as I was speaking. Can I please change my vote to no with explanation?
Ms. Call, can you accommodate him?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
That
so
would
it's a
be
no vote instead of a yes, and with an explanation. Go ahead with your explanation, Counselor.
Please forgive me. I apologize. Just to say, and I had mentioned this in Finance Committee as well, I just don't believe that what we are capable of recuperating rises to the ability of really making a difference in this. I appreciate the work the staff has put into this. I opposed this one on the council before for similar reasons and for consistency and seeing what we're bringing in from it. I just do not see the need for it, but I recognize that it has been passed by council, so I yield.
All right, thank you. Let the record reflect, we had Counselor Oropesa and Perry voting in agreement. Moving on, items number 28 and 28A are were in essence rendered moot by the actions to postpone the action on ordinance 20-13. But Counselor Stubbs, we will need a motion for formal action. So on item number 28, which is the real estate purchase agreement, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you stated, in lieu of the vote on postponing the actual agreement, or the ordinance allowing the agreement, I'm going to move to postpone item 28, the real estate purchase agreement with Ergon Asphalt and Emulsion Incorporation, to the November 12th, 2020 regular city council meeting.
I have a motion to postpone by Counselor Stubbs with a second by Counselor Foster. This is a motion to postpone the item, the real estate purchase agreement with Ergon, till next month. Any discussion, debate on that motion to postpone? Seeing none, I will ask for a roll call vote. A yes or aye approves the postponement. A no or nay keeps the matter before us. Ms. Call, please call the roll.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Kennard?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Counselor Oropesa?
Yes.
Counselor Best?
Yes.
Counselor Stubbs?
Yes.
Counselor Roebuck?
Yes.
Counselor Foster?
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez? Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next up would be item 28A, which originally in your packets, Counselor, was item 16, which had been on the consent agenda. This is the rail spur maintenance agreement between Ergon Asphalt Emulsion and the City of Roswell. As currently written, Mr. Nebb, correct me if I'm wrong, it does in fact make reference to a sales agreement, rendering this thing also moot at this time.
That would be correct.
So, on that note, Counselor Stubbs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In lieu of what you just said, I would move to postpone to the November 12th, 2020 regular city council meeting, the rail spur maintenance agreement between Ergon Asphalt and Emulsions, Inc. and the city of Roswell.
I have a motion by Counselor Stubbs and a second by Counselor Foster to postpone to the November council meeting the rail spur maintenance agreement between Ergon and the city of Roswell. Any discussion or debate on the proposed postponement? Hearing none, I will ask for a roll call vote. A yes or aye approves the postponement. A no or nay keeps it before us at this time. Ms. Call, please call the roll.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Kennard?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Counselor Oropesa?
Yes.
Counselor Best?
Yes.
Counselor Stubbs?
Yes.
Counselor Robeck?
Yes.
Counselor Foster?
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez? Passes unanimously.
10-0. All right. Next item up, item number 29. Counselor Stubbs. Yes, ma'am.
Again? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move to approve a conceptual plan for the Cielo Grande ball fields and an all-inclusive park as presented.
I have a motion by Counselor Stubbs and a second by Counselor Foster to approve the conceptual plan for Cielo Grande ball fields and all-inclusive parks. Mr. Morris, looking
good
very
evening.
dapper tonight.
Hmm?
You look very dapper.
Oh, thank you.
This is a special event, isn't it?
My usual slovenly self. Tonight, this issue.
A little closer to the microphone or pull it back to you.
You were going to do that. I knew you were going to do that.
Did you mute him?
Yeah, she's playing with the cord. Currently, the city has, we've received 2 grants through the capital outlay process for a couple of projects inside the Cielo Grande Sports Complex. The first one was $850,000 for the development of 2 new baseball fields. And the second one was for approximately $1.4 million for the development of an all-inclusive park. In order to begin the development of these sites, or these facilities, we need a master plan that would be approved so that the funds can be spent on the construction of these 2 capital projects, just basically locking down the locations. The first one here is the baseball fields. This is where they were proposed during the ICIP process last year. This would create a unified baseball facility, basically for tournament play between the two, the Nunop and the Lions Hondo fields. Their existing fields would, for the 2 systems, would become basically practice fields. And we're proposing the use for the $850,000 to include a master plan and the engineering plans that would support, for the infrastructure that would support these facilities. Each one of these fields it's a quad, has a concession stand in the middle. That's the anticipated revenue source, generating source for each of the systems. And also, we're proposing construction of a primary roadway that would start on the north side, connecting College Boulevard with Montana to the east in the white dashed line. The other area is for the all-inclusive park off to the south side of the Recreation and Aquatic Center. Originally, this is kind of a scale up. We're going to thought about putting it, maybe creating a new way into the park from the east, having an east side entrance. The parts that we're talking about are the actual park, a dancing fountain, a parking lot to support this, so some sensory park facilities, as well as picnic shelters and other amenities for families that want to recreate in this area. After some initial discussions, and also there was a proposal by the Kiwanis to build some kind of gate, think game and fish, something along these lines. But the idea was to create a gateway in, and that would be done by Kiwanis. That's the proposal. After some discussions with park staff, we thought, well, it'd probably be better to shift this thing north We could attach it to an existing parking lot that's very underutilized right now. It's the south side parking lot. So we eliminate the fees for that parking lot, the lighting. We still have all the same components. This particular layout allows for future expansions as well. And I'd like Representative Nyberg to, he has a few comments.
Thank you, Mr. Morris, and thank you, Mr. Mayor and councilors. This has been a long kind of project. About a year and a half ago, we started really looking at it, and we've come before this the council before asking for this to be a priority, and you all graciously put it as a priority. Unfortunately, we were able to come up with the money this year. The governor contributed pretty substantial dollars to it, as well as the local legislators. So we got almost all of the all-inclusive park funded, as well as some substantial money for the planning of the ball fields. Krista Smith and the local Autism Society have been instrumental for many years trying to get something off the ground, and so we're really pleased that they partnered with the Roswell Kiwanis Club to make this a reality. And Barbara Gomez with the Roswell Kiwanis Club, who's the new president, is very excited to see this thing actually start moving forward. We have been working with Mr. Morris and Mr. Burris and Mr. Nebb in trying to come up with really finalizing the location, and everyone likes this location and really appreciates the work that's going into it. And my only request at this point is that I think the Autism Society, as well as the Kiwanis Club, would like to see maybe a groundbreaking sometime in January, maybe the week of the 10th, if that's at all possible. And we'll continue to try to raise additional funds. We have some pretty good funds raised already, but raise additional funds to not only deal with this, but you'll see the picnic pavilions. We hope to have a sensory area that's outside of the fence of the all-inclusive park that ultimately get incorporated within this area, as well as landscaping that creates an attractive buffer between the recreation center and the Cielo Grande field. So the vision would be to make this a really attractive area for the community. And as was presented in the legislative session, we believe this is only the second all-inclusive park in New Mexico and the only park that is outside the Albuquerque metro area. So we'll be really proud of it when this thing actually gets completed. And with the work of the gentleman behind me, we look forward to that being in the near future. Thank you. And
All
I'll
right.
stand for any questions.
Thank you. I don't have anyone who signed up to speak on this matter from the public. So councilors, I will turn to you. Any questions, comments for, I have Councilor Moore. Jump right in.
I am so excited about this, and I like when we walked about moving. You know, I was gonna where it would move because I felt like it's gonna be loud over there, and you know, I was all against it being, you know, at Sierra Grande. But I like the idea for expansion. I love the idea. Only thing I want is where the dancing is that red? Is that fence in our picture? This red that's fencing, right?
That's a gate, a double gate.
That's a fence all the way around.
Right.
Okay. And
security.
but there will be like landscape on the other end of it, because what is that on the end, like where the dancing fountain looks like? So that's all emptiness. Is that still open space?
Yeah, that's still open at this time, but the
right.
future plans could get it landscaped as well. Depends on the budget.
I'm really excited. In the Century Park, I was concerned about it being by the parking lot, but the purpose of that, I guess, because dealing with autistic kids daily, I was concerned about the noise part of it, because that's part of the issue, and you know, is the noise. And so the Century Park is outside of the confines of the all-inclusive park for that purpose, right?
Correct.
But there's nothing from the Century Park to the parking lot dividing those. That's straight from the Century Park to the.
I'm going to leave it up to the Parks Department to where they're going to put the pathway from the parking lot through and connect those various dots. This is just a rough concept bubble plan, and so the fine print will be as they finalize the plans, which is
I'm glad
part of
that you
this.
moved it, because it was really
And Century Park is not just in one area, as it was shown in the first. It'll be in different places. It's easy to put up. We got lots of room out there, so.
And I'm, like I said, I'm like him. Can we get down to the groundbreaking? Like, to be honest, I don't like the little sign though. I think we need a bigger sign. If you're gonna put that little bitty sign on, it's gonna be bigger than it looks in the picture, correct? It looks like it's about this big, but.
Leave it up to these guys.
So when y'all get ready, Kiwanis, to make that sign, make it grand and respected of Roswell, like all the other signs that we got going around here. So I'm excited because I work with these kids every day, and so I think it's something, we have an opportunity here like none other, and I just appreciate everybody, sticking with this and all the work you do. I yell at, we fuss a little bit, but I just appreciate, that you stuck with it, and I like it. I'm excited.
All right, thank you. Counselor Stubbs, you do have something you need to make a point about.
Oh, I sort of thought you would, Mr. Mayor.
No, I want you to, you're the one who made note of it, and I would like you to, and we'll just build on it.
My phone just said I don't understand. I'm so sorry. Mr. Mayor, what I texted was that I believed it was Bill Morris's last city council meeting, so forgive me, we haven't voted on this, I don't think. But
not yet.
But I wanted to mention before you walked away that we appreciate all the work that you have done and wish you success in your next venture. I'm sure there is one, and thank you for all you've done for the city of Roswell.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been an interesting time here, and glad to be able to contribute.
Excuse me, Mr. Morris, could you move closer to the mic? I can't hear you.
There are some things I won't miss.
I wonder what those are.
I wonder.
Yeah. By the way, how many times did he have to fix the PowerPoint slides?
He did really good this time.
Whoa.
Or his last time. I could have been just because it was his last day. I don't know.
She's getting soft.
All right, well, don't get too excited because I now have Counselor Peterson wishing to speak on it, so we're going to light up the board here. Counselor Peterson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't take too much time, Bill. I just want to say that the all-inclusive park that's something that Roswell really needs. But my concern is, it says Cielo Grande. Roswell's a huge city. Why can't we have something in the middle or down south? Everything's going to Cielo Grande. Same thing with the ball fields, going to Cielo Grande. Lions Hondo has a huge field right next to it. They could have put both fields right there. And that, Roswell's a huge city. And there's a lot of areas that this park could have been put at Loveless Park. Loveless Park is a huge park. This all-inclusive park could have been over there. But since it's on the east side, it doesn't get anything over there. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, I have no one else wishing to speak on this matter. I'm going to ask for a roll call vote here in a second, but I do want to take a moment to make a point about this. Councilors, if this passes, we are saying to staff to go forward with this as presented. Councilor Peterson has just raised some concerns of his. If anyone here has concerns, they need to share them with Mr. Nebb before we go too far down this road. If this is not what the will of the governing body is, as presented, staff needs to know that so they do not waste their time, the treasure, and the talent on projects that will not ultimately be approved. So whatever happens now, if you have concerns, Councilor Peterson has articulated his, if you have them, you don't need to communicate them to me. You need to communicate them to Mr. Nebb and whomever on his staff he points for that role. Councilor Pesa, you wish to speak before we go to the vote?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. You know, I am all in support of all-inclusive park, make no mistake. But the motion that is being made is for a conceptual plan for Cielo Grande ball fields that I cannot support. And the reason that I can't support the ball fields is because we're looking at about $13 million project. And if we were to separate both items, I would absolutely vote for the all-inclusive park. But the ball fields, and the way I understand it, is the ball fields are being recommended to have tournaments. And as I shared with the Finance Committee, you know, I've been here for over 50 years, and never has Little League brought in any big tournaments. They have their district tournaments, their city tournaments, and what have you, but they've never really taken the initiative to bring in and prove that they can bring in a huge tournament. Because if they wanted to, they have enough fields to be able to put on a pretty good-sized tournament. They got the new knob, they got the other fields on the other side of town. They got the Lions Hondo, and they got the east side that has two pretty good fields. And if you're involved with those, in my experience, I've been involved with softball for a number of years. And when you go to those tournaments, a lot of times you'll be playing on one field on one part of town, and another time you'll be playing another field on another part of town. But they are able to attract a lot of teams. A good example is Ruidoso. Ruidoso attracts a lot of teams, softball teams. But they have different locations for those teams. They even have games in Capitan High School. And that's 19, 20 miles away from Alto. And so I'm saying is, if that is the reason that we want to bring in ball fields just because of tournaments, you have that ability to do right now, if you wanted to. I think the ball fields and both leagues, they have some great fields, and they've invested a lot of money into those ball fields to make them practice fields. I don't think we need to spend 13, 14 million, whatever the amount is, to build two quads of ball fields when you have plenty of fields to be able to host tournaments. And for that reason, I am not going to support this. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Counselor. I have Counselor Kennard and Counselor Moore. Counselor Kennard, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for clarification, because this was before I came on, is this through ICIP?
Yes.
Right.
So this is not money that the city is spending?
No, this is money that came from our legislators through the ICIP program. So this is not city money.
Thank you.
I have Counselor Moore. Counselor, you have the floor.
the concept of separating to two different votes, would that be something that we could do at this time? That we could start with the inclusive park? I don't want to put I understand the issue with the fields and all that, but I don't want to put the inclusive park on hold, trying to figure out what they want to do about some ball fields when we already got 5 in town. So I want to know if that's possible. I don't know who to ask, to separate these two and not, they two separate issues to me.
Well, they are, but they're interconnected as well too, part of the location and everything because of where the dollars are. Keep in mind that because they're legislative ICIP dollars, we have to spend an X number of portion of the money, or we have to give that money back. So part of what happened is that $850,000 that is going to the ball field concept is actually helping the all-inclusive park by paying for that road that is going to go through there. So we're actually commingling the dollars to a certain extent for the benefit of both of those projects at this point in time. You have every right to separate them. My recommendation, though, is because it's tied to the ICIP dollars, I would just recommend being very careful with that process. And I appreciate and understand everybody's concerns with those, but.
Okay. I have no one on my list wishing to speak, so I will ask for a roll call vote. Go figure. A yes or I approves the conceptual plan for the Cielo Grande Ball Fields and all-inclusive park as presented. A no or nay rejects the plan as presented. Ms. Call the roll.
Counselor Peterson?
No.
Counselor Kennard?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Moore? Counselor Oropesa?
No.
Counselor Best?
Yes.
Counselor Stubbs?
Yes.
Counselor Roebuck?
Yes.
Counselor Foster?
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez has stepped out of the room. The motion passes 7-2.
Thank you. Next up is public participation on non-agenda items. Is there we don't have anyone who signed up to participate on non-agenda items?
Mr. Mayor, I will jump in there, though, if I'm allowed, but Mayor and City Council, and you've already addressed it to a certain point. This is Mr. Morris's last visit here, and he had asked to not have a big presentation in order to recognize him. He is a member of my executive team, though, and I just wanted to make sure that I told him right now that we appreciated everything that he does, and he will be missed, and I just wanted to thank him personally, so
all right.
Thank you.
All right. How about a round of applause for Mr. Moore? But you have to get closer to the microphone.
Mr. Morris, I would request if you're going to speak so we could record that, please.
I know where you live. I do want to say thank you very much. This has been a really interesting 5 years. A lot of topics, a lot of issues, a lot of them contentious. I think all of them contentious. But it's been very satisfying. This is my town. I haven't lived here as long as you guys have, but I married a Roswell girl, and she's been here a long time. She ain't moving, so I'm sticking around. So thank you very much, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Uh-oh, we have something? Tell me it's food. Okay. Next up, item number 30.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it showed up on
Yeah, it does. Okay.
I was asked by a constituent to ask a question that I didn't have the answer to.
Okay.
He asked about the escrow company. Did the city have anything to do with it, the one that was closed on Second Street?
Escrow company, Roswell Escrow.
Roswell Escrow, I believe that's the name of it.
No, the city has nothing to do with that business.
Okay, because he was wondering what happened to it, because they haven't said anything, and I said, I have no idea whether the city had anything to do with it or not, but I'll
No,
ask that
yeah,
question.
and I'm not sure, I know it went in through the whole court process and everything got closed down. I do not know the status of what is going on with that business.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Counselor Stubbs.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, before I make my motion, I'd like to state for the record that Mr. Will Cavan wanted it to be clarified that he was here as a citizen of Roswell, not as a county commissioner. So, oh, sorry.
Okay.
Said Counselor Foster. I would like to move that council go into closed session pursuant to NMSA 1978, Chapter 1015-1H 8, to discuss the purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property or water rights relating to the potential lease of land at the RAC.
I have a motion by Counselor Stubbs and a second by Counselor Foster to go into closed session. Any discussion, debate on this motion? I will ask for a roll call vote. A yes or aye takes us into closed session. A no or nay keeps us in open session. Ms. Call, please call the roll.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Kennard?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Moore? Yes. Counselor Oropesa?
No.
Counselor Best?
Yes.
Counselor Stubbs?
Yes.
Counselor Roebuck?
Yes.
Counselor Foster?
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez? Motion passes 9-1.
All right, I have now
Mr. Mayor.
at 9:54. We
Mr.
will
Mayor, if I
meet.
can just ask for your, with your blessing, I will just pull out now. I will not hang around waiting for y'all to finish with closed session.
Okay, fair enough. Counselor Perry is off now. Counselor Roebuck is also departing at this point. Okay. All right. Thank you. It's 9:55. We will meet in there in 2 minutes, 9:57.
That is cold outside, too.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Part of the closed session. So, on that note, Counselor Stubbs, your
Tell me what
statement for the
time
record.
again? What time did you say?
After we come back.
Okay. No, I just, all right. Mr. Mayor, for the record, council is back in open session at 10:29. We had a closed session pursuant to NMSA 1978, Chapter 1015 1H8, to discuss the purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property or water rights relating to potential lease of land at the Roswell Air Center. No action was taken and no votes were cast.
All right, fair enough. Mr. Knapp?
Mr. Mayor, City Council, even though we're with a little group, I told Ms. Costley that I would share these, our librarian, head librarian. These are thank yous. This is the first batch of thank yous from the people that utilize the library, thanking the City Council for approving funds for the new roof on the library and funds to repair the water damage not covered. Your support of the public library is appreciated. So this is the first batch of all those individuals of lives that you helped improve. And so I just wanted to make sure, I told her that I would make sure that we made it a part of the report, and just thank you again for your hard work. Other than that, Mr. Mayor, I have nothing else.
All right, I have 10:31. We are adjourned.